position, and we serve everybody. So I wanted to just kind of see how marketing is going for everyone. So I'm going to be probably mostly a listener today.
All right, no worries. I'm usually a lurker in Zoom meetings, but today today I don't get to be one. So I'll live vicariously through you. All right. Anyone else want to introduce yourself, talk about your library, whether or not you have a TikTok, say a meme you like?
Hi, Victoria Phelps, although I just got married, so my last name is changing to Edwards, but I've come to the meetings before as Phelps. I am with the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, and we do not have a TikTok that we're actively generating content on. I just saved our username on one.
And even if you don't introduce yourself and you do have some social media you'd like to share, not just TikTok, anything for your library, feel free to put it in the chat too. All right, it looks like we do have a number of newbies and a lot of returning people today. So welcome again, everyone. We're really happy to see you. Normally for these meetings, I've got some conversation topics, but a lot of it's just very organically generated. And it tends to go for as long as it wants to go, around up until around 11 o'clock, although sometimes we've gone over. So it's a pretty relaxed, no pressure space. Basically what we say to the teens for Zoom programs too, which usually has even more people without cameras or without cameras on. So I'm very familiar with this. So here at Northville, as I said before, for anyone who has arrived after I said that though, Katie, who usually helps me host and is our PR librarian, is not in today. So you're stuck with me. I'm Natalie. I'm the teen services librarian here at the Northville District Library. And I guess I will be your MC today. For my personal favorite meme, I really, really liked that one week where everyone was on TikTok just singing she shanties. I don't know why. I had a lot of fun with that. But the corn meme is pretty fun. And if you have a TikTok account and you haven't done a video on it yet, it's still popular enough. I think you can squeeze it in. All right, but does anybody have anything they'd like to talk about in particular? Otherwise, we can go book club mode and I can start talking about the different conversational topics I prepped. Whatever you guys want to do. Okay. So one of the questions I had today was, in addition to or instead of TikTok, what other social media do each of you have? I'd love to see if you guys do anything kind of that connects between them as well. Like, does anyone share TikTok videos that they make on, like just an update when they make a new video on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or anything like that? Or do you cross post on your different accounts? How do you guys do that?
We definitely cross post on our social media. So if a new TikTok goes up or, a new video goes up, it is almost assuredly going to be placed elsewhere. And that's in Orion Township.
Awesome. We cross post here a lot too. We don't usually do anything involving TikTok on other libraries, but Katie and I have talked about it potentially in the past. Like seeing if we could maybe back them up on YouTube or just like post a heads up because when there's a new video up. It's been an interesting thing to discuss. Do you guys find that that drives up your engagement with the different social media accounts?
I will unmute myself again. When I notice we get a lot of interaction is if I go into various city/community related groups, but it has to be very, very specific. So as an example, our friends group is doing their quarterly book sale. Incredible. But I did something a couple weeks ago called, which I found fascinating that people got into it. I did something about our hold lockers, and people were very unaware that we had those services, or that we had delivery services, or we had anything whereby which somebody who could not physically come into the library or just didn't want to come into the library for whatever reason. I found that those got a lot of interaction and a lot of response in the general community. And people who were actually using the hold lockers also posted some very positive feedback, but also because a good suggestion, which we then incorporated.
Actually, speaking of feedback from the community, that reminded me of something that we've had our eye on here at Northville over the past several months. It's been less so on TikTok because a lot of the people who are making trouble about this don't seem to follow or be active on TikTok, or at least they don't know the library has one. But we've been here at Northville, there's been a lot of nervousness amongst certain people about posting on controversial content, specifically LGBTQ books and stuff like that on our social media accounts. Has anyone had libraries that are implementing similar policies in that area, or restricting other kinds of what the library posts and talks about on there? In particular TikTok, but really any of the social media accounts in general. I know a lot of us have a lot of library board seats up for election in November. A lot of us had millages. There's a lot of nervousness in general in regards to stuff like that.
Yeah, I know there was a little nervousness. Like we were kind of told not to do like to print a book list of banned books in like our newsletter or whatever. But as far as social media, I don't think we've been told like to limit things like that. It was more so like our newsletter goes out to everyone in the community. So the director was like, maybe don't push stuff in there. But yeah, social media, we've still been able to do what we would like.
We seemingly have well, first let me back up and say that we have a millage in perpetuity. So we don't have some of the issues that other libraries may have with regard to millages, board seats, etc. And our board, as sometimes happens with boards that are elected or appointed, we don't have a tenure policy, so people are just there for a very long time, but they're all very supportive. So I have noticed when we started posting things about banned books, we actually got a great deal of positive feedback. So that was very heartening, as opposed to being depressing. So I just like to say yay about our patronage and apparently the general community.
That's super awesome. It definitely seems like a lot of the public in general is really attentive to Banned Books Week this year. And overwhelmingly, it's been a positive response. But I know that there's also been a few buzzkills too for a lot of us libraries that kind of ruin the rest of it. But there's also been a lot of interesting online things going on, like Fandom Forward, which used to be the Harry Potter Alliance. They've been doing author talks and other online webinars and trainings for the general public throughout the last month to create what they're calling a Book Defenders Initiative. And I've had some of my teens come in and talk to me about that, which I thought was really cool, and ask if Banned Books Week and the displays that we put up here are related to it at all. So I've been trying to get the library to share something on the fandom forward stuff, but no luck yet. Banned Books Week isn't over yet, though, so I'll keep trying. We have had, oh, sorry.
So I'm Adam. I work at the Library of Michigan, and I know one of the things that has kind of been in discussions of a few other different groups that I've been part of has been trying to, or with the discussion of whether or not to approach it more as Banned Books Week versus freedom to read, because there have been some people who have been trying to find a bit more of a positive twist to put on it, with dealing with some of the pushback that some people, whether it's board members, general members of the public, things like that. So I'm kind of curious, have anybody gone with more that route, or are they sticking with more the traditional Banned Books Week? And if they have kind of tried changing that kind of message, has that made a difference?
At West Bloomfield, we are doing a Celebrate the Freedom to Read campaign rather than Banned Books Week explicitly, although we are still calling it Banned Books Week as well. And it's Monday, so we just started putting out our information about it. I don't know how that'll be received by the community yet. In my personal time, I've been involved with, I live in Rochester, and so I've been involved with some of the ongoing challenges in Rochester Community School District, because I graduated from there as well, so I'm connected with a lot of the teachers and people who are affected by it. And so I've heard about this. I've been hearing a lot of arguments on all sides since February, March timeframe. So with our campaign at West Bloomfield this week, I've been careful to approach it with more of a positive spin. We're talking about celebrating how I use the World Press Freedom Index to talk about the United States in relation to other countries, because that's often a subject that comes up, how we have a lot more freedoms than some other countries do. And that's something to celebrate still, for sure. But we are still mentioning, the increase in challenges that we've seen over the last years. We are talking about the history of banning books in America as well, as another way of putting it in perspective. So I'm curious to see how all those things go over on our social media. We also have some takeaways at our bin book display this year, but we're not doing anything. Similarly, we didn't put anything on our print newsletter either, just because that does go out to everyone in our community, and we're a little nervous about it too.
That's really understandable. Has anyone ever put anything on their TikTok or other social media, but especially TikTok, where there was a negative reaction from the community? Or even not just the community, but one person just decided to take their displeasure out on everyone else?
We've had some in-person challenges, and it was within the last few weeks because of some books we had on our banned book display. But our adult services librarian, Kathleen, spoke to the person, heard them out. I think sometimes it does become somebody just wants to be heard out. I came from the museum world, and there were certainly times with works of art that people had, to be fair, very good intentions. Someone once thought a portrait of Marie Laveau was someone in blackface. And in fact, we had to explain who Marie Laveau was, that she was a multiracial woman, and that the lightness that was being shown on her face was just basically the way the artist, who was a Black woman, chose to define the light in her eyes. So the person called and said that they were a woke white man and wanted to tell us that he wanted to shoot us down for displaying someone in blackface until we broke it all down for him. And I think recently that's what we've had, but I can understand everyone's trepidation, especially with everything that happened with the Patmos library, and then the obviously rallying of people all across the world to help them. But it's kind of a scary time, so I understand that.
We actually had, I don't know if this person found out through social media about it, but we had posted about it through social media. I don't know if we're going to be doing that for much longer. But the program, we had a patron actually email to express concerns about Banned Books Week programming that we had planned here in this library. Admin stepped up, answered her questions very patiently. And so far as I know, they went back and forth a little, but nothing happened and nothing was canceled. Although it might need to be canceled anyways, because we didn't get very many signups, but patrons, I guess, on all sides are definitely paying attention this year. And there was definitely a discussion about what kinds of books and programming we could feature on social media after that. It's an ongoing situation though, I guess, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop being ongoing anytime soon. Is that Killian who posted just in the chat? It's a really good thing to bring up. We had people who were like that on, although of course the library didn't run the Library Millage Facebook group. There was a Facebook group for that, and like 2 people were just saying that we can get all of this from Amazon repeatedly in the comments there. And someone else was demanding repeatedly to know if the library was going to do drag queen story times, and then demanding to know why people kept deleting her post, even though nobody did that. I think we've all probably gotten stories like that over the last year or so. Hopefully, it seems like TikTok, there's less of a community response to that, because it seems like fewer people who are issuing those complaints are on TikTok, or at least on the library TikTok. But it's definitely something that we're keeping an eye on, because we have had, or we have seen people on these other social media, with social media presences who have interacted with the library on other platforms. But that's not a very cheerful thing to talk about, is it?
No.
Okay. Let's change the topic and do something silly. For all of us who do have a social media account, who here did a corn video? You don't have to raise your hand on screen. You can do a reaction. Is it just, oh, awesome.
How could I not?
Right? It's such a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. It was everywhere.
Right. It was actually for a solid week.
I think I've technically done 2.
Really?
Yeah. Because there was the one with the song and the melody, but now there's even a second one where it's just the soundbite of "Look at this thing. I can't imagine a more beautiful thing." So
It's
I feel
the
like
meme that keeps giving.
Yep.
All right. There do seem to be a lot of these particular memes that just are kind of all encompassing. They take over for a good period of time, and you can't escape them if you spend enough time on your For You page. But it's interesting to see how they stay in the cultural zeitgeist too. I still see people quoting the Morbius memes a lot of them. I had a teen leave a post-it note in the teen section actually saying on a particular book, saying it's reading time with a little Morbius themed doodle on it. Has anyone taken these TikTok memes and integrated them into other things in the library, like displays, activities, anything like that? We did a Gentle Minions display here, which was the meme where teenagers were coming in to movie theaters dressed up in fancy suits, holding bananas, occasionally dancing in the lobby to watch Minions Rise of Gru. Social media gets weird.
A PowerPoint presentation that goes on TV, like near our circulation desk. And actually, I'm the one in charge of it. And we like every couple months, like every month, we change like a meme we have in there that's like related to the library, like what's going on. So like the one we have up there right now is that like lady yelling at the cat. And it's about like, it says like, oh, my books are due. And the cat's yelling back, like we do automatic renewals. So that's how we have it right now.
I know which one you're talking about. That sounds adorable. So is it because it's not Katie here today to engage everyone, or is it because we all really need more caffeine that it's quiet today? No judgment either way, because frankly, I need more.
For me, I really love coffee.
Mm.
I can't imagine a more beautiful thing. No, and also we haven't done anything fun as far as displays with memes yet. We want to. And also I just don't have any drama to report when it comes to Banned Books Week, because I don't want to make anyone envious. We have a very supportive community.
Can you share some of those out? Although we did have a patron who actually saw us post about it. I think she saw it on Instagram, and she actually brought in a sweatshirt from the 70s, which was really good because it came right on the heels of that other patron who emailed to complain. So it was a sweatshirt with all these different banned book titles on it. And it was nice that there are supportive people for everyone who's not so good-natured. But yes, share out some of those supportive community members. I bet a bunch of us could use them.
Well, I mean, we seem like we were really even asking for it, because we put Banned Books Week, and we even talked about My Right to Read right front and center in our print newsletter that we sent to all 20,000 porches in the entire city. It was almost like we were saying, come and get us. And then we made a podcast about it, and then we made a book display, and then we made social media posts about it.
That's really cool.
Nothing. No fights.
Of all the libraries to pick fights with bigots in Michigan, I feel like Ferndale is probably the one that comes to mind immediately for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Not a bad thing. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, I think for libraries that are able to do it right now, especially doing more information advocacy campaigns and stuff is really helpful, really needed.
All right. It's definitely quiet today. Let's see. So something else I was wondering is we've had discussions about sharing out access to the TikTok account here at the library with some volunteers, and it's never gone anywhere. We did at one point have an Instagram that was run by the teen volunteers here, but it was decided that we should consolidate our social media accounts and only have them run, or only have a main one for the library on each platform. But does anyone else here, or does anyone here have a shared TikTok account that's maybe run in part by multiple staff members or volunteers? Or do they have multiple TikTok accounts, maybe one geared towards a particular age group or something, or a volunteer group, anything like that?
I have multiple staff contributors for social media. It's been taken a little bit to get people to voluntarily contribute content to it, but they have access to it. A select few people basically in each department are able to add content, and then I can approve it through Loomly, which is the scheduling platform that we use. And my interest in Loomly was largely because I had those capabilities. You can put up to 6 users, I think, on like their lowest level account. So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How do you spell it? Loomly?
yes, it's LOOMLY.
All right, I'll look that up. Thanks.
Yes. Yeah. It's very user friendly. The only thing is if people want to put a story out there, I still have to, most scheduling platforms, I have to do that manually.
But that still sounds like it keeps things running pretty smoothly.
Yeah, it really does. It was, we did a bit of a trial by fire because I was gone on my honeymoon last month for a little over 2 weeks. And so I handed it over to the staff members who had access to it. And I had a couple staff members that had admin access. And there were a couple times that we needed to publish something, an emergency event that was canceled or something like that. And it all ran pretty smoothly. So they were able to respond to comments through it. Nobody had to use their, personal Facebook or anything to respond to comments. So that was great.
Always a plus.
We have 3 people that are technically like on our TikTok team. I'm the main person that handles posting, but they technically have access to it. So they do every once in a while. We'll post when I went on vacation, but they only did it like once. So we kind of left it to me to be mostly on there, but we do have multiple people that could, but we stick to me doing it just to keep it more streamlined so that we can keep track of what's getting posted. Also, it's like all the stuff are in my drafts. So without having my phone, they can't really post our drafts through there. But we technically have a group of 3 that all have access to it.
We do allow our teen volunteers to make TikToks if they want. I can't say that we've really gotten much traction on it, but it is something that like they can do to fill their volunteer hours if they like. I think we've only had like 1 or 2 made, and basically they make it, send it to us, and then like if we approve it, then we just post it for them. And that's like, I don't even know. We don't use our TikTok because we have a social media committee. And there's like basically one of us from each department, and none of us really have an interest in TikTok or using TikToks. And then we don't know like what would work on the platform. So we just haven't really made any. But yeah, we do allow our volunteers to make it if they want to.
How do you guys, how many volunteer hours do you normally give them for making a TikTok?
I don't even know. I'm one of the teen librarians, but the other one is the one who runs the volunteers. So I can't definitively answer that. I'm actually not sure, but I would assume he probably just lets them say how many hours they spent on it, and we would just approve it.
That's pretty fun though. Katie is the only one who has access to the TikTok account here. And she generally spearheads the videos being made for it. A couple of times, I believe staff members have sent her ones that they've made. I've offered it to the teens before, but I've never had anyone take me up on making any videos for it. So I definitely feel that. But for the other social media accounts, it's generally spread between multiple staff members. Okay. Well, we still have 25 minutes left. Let's see. I know I had some other stuff written. Generally, I promise we're more talky than this. I think today is just today's a slow day for us here in Northville. I don't know if it's like that for you guys. Let's see.
The discussions you guys were just having actually bring up a question I'm curious of is, how do you maintain the library's voice on social media? I mean, how do you maintain a consistency of the voice that you're speaking to the public with? I mean, it's just the best way to do that by having a single point of contact, or is it sort of having a single person who's acts as an editor, which basically is what Katie does here, as she ensures that all the content is coming out with a single voice that basically says this is the Northville District Library. So I'm wondering if anyone else has different approaches to that.
So this was actually before I started at Plymouth, but when they were kind of putting together a social media committee, they made like a brainstorming document of what they wanted our voice to be. And everyone in the committee sort of posted images that they liked. So I know one thing that we ended up sort of moving towards is, if you look at a lot of like bookstore Instagrams, they have some really nice sort of like aesthetic-y photos. And so we actually like worked together to figure out what sort of images would fit. We don't post any graphics to like our main feed. Like we specifically avoid stuff like that. We go for like prettier pictures on Instagram. Like for example, when we're looking at what the voice would be, like we spent time coming up with that. And then there's basically 4 of us that actually post the stuff to it. And it stays relatively consistent, I would say, because of that.
I'd say in terms of, I can only speak for the TikTok. I'm not in charge of the other social media that we have. We had 3 staff members that we get together every Friday to film, like in batch film all of our TikToks. And we kind of didn't really have a discussion. It kind of naturally formed that we just were brainstorming ideas of what we could do and what we wanted. So it ended up evolving into this, like we tend to go lighthearted, a little bit funny and goofy while still highlighting services and things. So it kind of just was a natural progression of, we have 3 staff members. What do we want to do with the TikTok? How do we want to present it? And because we keep the consistent same staff members, we're all on the same page, that it just ended up evolving into kind of our own voice for our TikTok, as opposed to having everybody making stuff separately and then trying to post it at the same time. Us working very closely together, I think, helped make a consistent voice for what we have on ours and what we're producing. And then we always check with each other if we do create something solo and it's outside of what we normally do. We always double check with another staff member. When I was on vacation, I had a staff member did something and he was like, I don't know if I should do that. And then when he consulted me and the other staff member were like, that might be a little too kind of outside the realm of what we normally post, we decided as a group not to do it. So I think having that where you're working with the same people over and over, you get to know the style and you develop it. At least that was my experience with it.
We have a team of people, and it's people at the Library of Michigan that have all different roles. Like some are in library development, some of us are in special collections, and so we meet, I think it's about quarterly each year, and we will kind of go over different things that we're doing. But beyond that, we also have like just a specific Teams channel within Microsoft Teams, so that if we do get into things like campaigns that we want to do, or we want to tell other staff, hey, I'm going to be posting during particular times, please don't do it. So that way that we're not jumping on each other's posts if we do put something on. We do have a year calendar that we try to keep up, that over the course of a particular month, that we know that there's key times in which we want to be highlighting different things. And overall, it's been pretty good. We always follow the strategy that like everything is always posted at like 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m., 3,
Mhm.
5, 7, those. So we know those are the general time periods when people are posting things. And just being the Library of Michigan, it lends itself that you kind of have to have a certain governmental style voice because it's just the nature of what it is. We can't get too controversial. You know, the last thing we want is some protest down the street at the Capitol building making its way to our side of the complex, and which luckily it has not happened. But yeah, it's what we just have to have a little bit more of a neutral, nonpartisan voice. And I wish we could be a little bit more, have that little bit more freedom to advocate for things, but it just can't do that, at least for us. That's more Jeff and people like Ferndale get to do a little bit more like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say we strike a conversational tone in our posts, but we always have editors. There's at least one person and even a backup person that edits everything that I write, and I edit everything that our youth librarians write. But we also have a formula that helps with any caption. Yes, we're conversational as though you would be hearing us say these things at a desk in caption form, but mostly there's a formula. If it, whatever it is, if it's an event or something about books, it is kind of it follows a journalistic flow. It has a hooky kind of a question, then an informational sentence, and then a directive sentence, and then you're out, and it's sweet and simple.
Anyone have any other questions today, or should we call it a little early? I don't know about, oh, sorry.
I have a question, and I've kind of been a little in and out and came in a few minutes late. Does anyone have like multiple Facebook pages
Yes.
for different, so like you have a library one and then you have like departmental ones? Or
We have a we go back and forth on what we call it, but we do have a separate youth services only Facebook page.
okay,
And that leads us to inevitably call the main Facebook page the main Facebook page, or the adult Facebook page, etc. But we do have this separate Facebook page where it's mostly parents and caregivers following us, and it's all the youth librarians are using it.
okay,
Here at Northville, there's been a very concentrated effort to keep all of our social media accounts streamlined, in that we don't have any secondary or branch accounts for any particular platform. There's one per platform, and that's it. We did at one point have a volunteer run Instagram. This was before the library actually had an Instagram, and it was taken down so that the library could start its own Instagram.
so Jeff, on the youth page, then is that like somehow, is it connected?
Well, actually, we do have one extra social media account for the Next Gen Book Club. That's my mistake. I was not aware of that because it's an adult one. Sorry.
Okay,
They're connected in that we access them through Facebook's Creator Studio, but they are different. They're different URLs. They're different @s. You know, this is @Ferndale Library and @Ferndale Kids, etc.
so if something is posted on the youth, it doesn't get posted on the main page then?
Correct.
Okay. So we have a new staff person who felt that the teens weren't going to go to our Facebook page. And so she created a teen page. But I found that I can't I can't share things to her page. So I'm trying to work around that, but was
You
kind of
have-
done.
Are you the admin for the other Facebook page? You an admin for it?
Yes,
Okay.
but we're not like very structured here. So
Can this other person make you an admin of the page?
oh, probably.
You
Yeah,
should
I
be
don't
able to
know. If,
see them all in your creator studio at that point.
okay. Okay.
Same would go.
Because
if you did
sometimes,
Instagram.
you know, sometimes there's something that is going on at the library that you want to share, you know, to both pages, right? So,
Sometimes, but hopefully we're keeping them separate
okay. Okay, good to know.
so that we don't saturate the market.
Right.
Probably a good idea there.
Well, it's just, I'm finding that sometimes events are like posted on that page,
Mhm.
then that, you know, are not always put someplace else for me to know about it. So, you know, like I said, we're a little lax around here. Not very structured with meetings and so forth. But I was just curious if other people have separate, you know, separate pages for different areas of the library.
It's a good point that if you do have those, you should always make sure that multiple staff actually have administrative access into those so you can avoid the type of issues you're seeing. Like Jeff talked about being able to share between different accounts. You always want to make sure you have multiple people who have access to that. You need that redundancy. That's big in the technical world.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry about me tuning out for a bit there. There was a scheduling snafu and they forgot to take me off of the opening shift, and I just found out today. So there were patrons knocking on the door apparently for a while.
No.
Never a dull moment, right?
Right.
So let's see. Have there ever been any issues like that that happened on any library's social media for you guys, where maybe somebody posted something else that, or two people posted on the same subject as one at once, where you guys do have multiple people handling the same social media accounts, or any other fun chaos situations that happened?
So I've had it before a couple times where so like I said, we try to stick with a certain schedule, and where you'll look on the list of what has already been scheduled for a day, and look on whatever calendar that is, and then you realize, you see, oh, there's a hole that like they're at 1 o'clock, nobody's got anything there, and it's 12:53, and you're like, oh, okay, I can throw something there. And right after you put something, you then realize that, oh, 1 minute earlier when you were in the midst of creating it, one of your colleagues did the same thing. Not necessarily on the same subject, but it does. And there has been that rare occasion where like we've accidentally posted over each other because it was just an open time and you didn't claim it in any way before you did it. But usually what we can do is we'll just figure out which one is easier to repost at a different time, and then delete that one and then schedule it for a different time later on in the day. But luckily we're structured enough that we are able to avoid that in most cases.
So for those of you who do scheduling ahead of time, and it seems like a lot of you do you guys try and post at a set time or several set times? Or do you just kind of plug it in there whenever there's an open time and you think people might watch it?
We don't have set times. I feel like it's sort of everyone on the social media team has times that they prefer. Like I feel like I tend to schedule stuff for like 2 p.m. because that's when I feel like we get some engagement. But we're not like like we don't have to stick to a specific time.
Just noting that there is an advantage to doing a set time, and pre-scheduling is basically you can make your social media behave like conventional television. The news is on at 6 o'clock. These posts come out at 6 o'clock. And that can make your prospect, your viewers a regular time frame. It can be what would you call it? Appointment television.
That's true. Your regularly scheduled programming.
Well, plus it's also good if you can kind of anticipate when you know people are going to be scrolling and looking online anyways, because I mean, if you have something that's scheduled at 11 a.m. or somewhere around that time, you know that the lunch crowd, while they're eating their lunch, is scrolling through on their phone or their tablet or something. Same thing with the evening crowd, that if you have it scheduled between 5 and 5:30, you're going to be catching people at home when they're eating supper, or once leisure time or something like that. That it's always good to kind of anticipate times when people will be looking at things. I know I'll try to do it, avoid the 9 a.m. because I know by the time it hits the later on time, it's already got lost within the algorithms of some of the social media accounts.
That's true. The almighty algorithm.
That's actually a good point. It's just, what are any tricks to game the algorithms? I don't have any good trick myself, so
I feel like those tricks change every 6 months.
Yep.
That's true. And there's a lot of things that people say works where there's no actual evidence whether or not it works either way, at least that I'm aware of.
Mhm.
Like the people tagging their videos FYP and hoping that it'll show up on people's For You pages. That, so far as I know, is basically a virtual version of an old playground rumor. But you still see it happen a lot.
you do. You can see, for example, if someone wanted to make something popular today, you might tag it about the Queen's funeral. Even though has nothing to do with it, it draws eyes to the posting.
To what people are following, yeah.
I think one fairly consistent one is to always have to do more people over graphics. That's been pretty consistent over the years, but there are of course exceptions. I think memes are a good one. Sometimes a meme can be mostly text-based, but still see a lot of sharing and get more engagement than a photo of a person might.
Okay. Is anyone doing anything about the Queen's funeral today? We had a big biography assignment that hit the day after her death. So we had a major run on the books about her, so we wouldn't have much to feature if we did. All righty, we got about 5 minutes left. Anyone have anything else they want to chat about? Share any fun videos they've seen? Anything. I feel like we'll probably end pretty soon rather than going over this time.
I am curious to know, because we're looking at making some changes to our social media policy. Those of you who have TikToks, did you decide to work that into your social media policies? Or do you keep it more general?
We are about to rework ours and redraft ours, and I imagine we will be including TikTok in there.
I think ours is more general, but I need to double check that. I do think it is a good idea to address things that are characteristic to each of the various kinds of social media platforms, like maybe refer to or discuss platforms that are more image based, like Instagram, and video based, like TikTok and YouTube. But maybe not necessarily mention the specific ones. That way, as time marches on, like it always does, you can apply those to whatever follows.
Our current policy was created in 2011, hasn't been updated since, so all we mention on there is Facebook.
Oh dear. Definitely due for an update. That's a really valid point there. I'll definitely pass that on. Maybe see if we can post about it sometime today. If you're not taking a look at the chat right now, I'm not sure. I can't remember people's names. Sorry.
That's me.
So-
It's Adam.
Oh,
There-
sorry,
there-
Adam.
Yeah, I just took a look on Mel's ebook collection, which is under the A to Z list. It's ebook full EBSCO collection. And I'm seeing at least a few that are on there. Plus, I think there's also some videos and stuff like that. So if all else fails, there's a couple. And I'm sure the Mel social media accounts might highlight them too today. I don't know if Barb has anything like that scheduled or not, or Heather, but just another option if all else fails.
In regards to someone posted a question, we don't have a TikTok account. How did you guys start yours up? That's a good thing to end on. For us here at Northville, we were expanding our social media presence, and I had rallied along with the teen volunteers here for TikTok before, and we had a new PR librarian, so a lot of things were getting changed up, and it just seemed like a good time to add one. Did anyone else have a fun story about how their TikTok account got started, or just anything to share about that?
Not a fun story.
Oh no.
No, I mean, and not, no, just like a boring story. Just like
Okay.
I always wanted to start one. A staffer who has since left, I remember, was always doubtful that it would take off. And when I got it going, it was really boring at first because I wasn't sure how much I wanted to be on camera. It was more like just creative videos of like books and book covers. But you know, after a couple months, I got comfortable and I was on there lip syncing to sound bites, and then we took off.
I think that's a fun story.
Yeah. And then you develop a meme brain. You start thinking in memes and how you can apply it to library life. It's weird having a meme brain.
I bet there was a lot of Morbius in there for a while.
You actually touch on an important point. Is actually is a lot of people don't want to be on camera.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there, I guess I'll pose that as a question. How do you convince people it's okay to be on camera?
I don't think you should convince. I think
Absolutely.
make sure they're comfortable. Don't make them be comfortable. No, I don't think it's convincing. I have found people who are comfortable, and I know people who are not. And then I
Not
respect
just
that.
with the staff members too, but with patrons. Definitely
agree.
don't put any patrons on there if they're not comfortable, and make sure they know when you're taking pictures during programs or filming, like what's going on.
Mhm.
I was formerly a publicist, and I can say unequivocally that forcing someone to be on camera is always bad.
There are actually some programs that we have where we'll make sure that there's like a waiver. It's specifically for our Battle of the Books. We do it as a big event in March, and there is usually a social media waiver included in the registration and program and the website on it too, because we do take photos and videos and we use those for publicity quite a bit because that's one of our largest programs of the year.
I hope everyone is lucky enough to have former theater kids on staff. Because it can be one thing to have someone who's willing to be in a TikTok, but if you're more used to it than they are, you become like, you very much start to feel like you're wearing a film director hat and you're like explaining a meme to them, and it just gets very awkward very quickly. But I've got some theater kids on staff here who don't need any direction.
There was only one time where we sought out staff members that normally wouldn't be like the first to volunteer for a video. And we still made sure that they were entirely comfortable with it. It was when the new Pokemon starters had been announced. So we went around specifically looking for non-internet savvy staff members and had them pick their first Pokemon starter on camera. It was actually really cute. And they were all very good. And although they don't normally volunteer for videos, because it was just a quick question, a lot of them were much more comfortable with it. And the ones that weren't, they didn't get included, and that's okay. Sprigatito was the most popular, if anyone's wondering. Or knows what that is. Well, we had them pick the new starters, not from the original.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, I mean, we've got a lot of fantasy fans here, so I feel like Charizard would probably have been the most popular from the original. Might be a little biased there, though. One of our coworkers here actually had a child recently, and she's trying to get starter plushies from the original trio to have her daughter for her first birthday pick her Pokemon starter, which is just so cute. There are videos for that online too. Probably won't go on the library social media though. All right, it's 11 a.m., 11:02 now. So we've already lost someone. I'm gonna call it here because I need more caffeine and I think others in this group might too. But thank you guys so much for joining us. It was a pretty quiet one this time. I enjoy the fact that these change up every time. I won't hold you guys up any longer though, and see you next month, hopefully.
See you, Natalie.
If I didn't scare you out. All right, what's up?
I said, I'll see you, Natalie. I'll be at the
Oh,
next one.
I thought you said, hey, Natalie. I was very confused. All right, and next time Katie will be here again, so I hope I didn't scare anyone off with just me today. All right,
Not at all.
bye.